Good morning. September is Suicide Awareness Month, and I've been struggling all month because I wanted to get on and say something. I actually planned out a live on last Sunday, but my mood would not allow me to do so. But I just wanted to get on here this morning because I wanted to share about suicide from the perspective of a family that is going through it. Um, just to provide a little background, I am a mental health counselor and I've worked with a number of people who've suffered with depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts. But I never realized that it would one day touch so close to home. So on July 13th, 2020 started as a normal day. It was actually my first day back at work. And I got a text from my son Cameron saying that he loved me, but he was tired and that he was sorry. And so just to give a little background on Cameron, Cameron at the time was 29 years old. He has always had a tremendous heart. He essentially, like me, wore his heart on his sleeve. And so it was very difficult for him to see the struggles in the world and to endure his own strugglings, suffering. And so he had experienced some anxiety and depression, but we've worked through that. Well, we were working through that. He's been in counseling and we were trying to get him back in counseling. He had just had a recent breakup, but also at the age of 17, he was diagnosed with Crohn's, which was a hard hit for him. In a matter of a few weeks, he lost 35 pounds. He was, you know, about to go into his senior year of high school with all these expectations of what that would be. And then for the next 6 months, we were constantly in and out of doctor's office with testing, putting him on medication that told him, as they told him that it could potentially lead to cancer and that it could prevent him from having children and just, a lot of things that for a 17-year-old have faced. And so, we continued to do the medical treatment and Cameron was always a believer in natural healing. He suffered from asthma as a child, and he didn't like the way that the steroids that he had to be on and some of the inhalers made him feel. And so he took that same approach with the Crohn's. And so it's been a battle. He's been in and out of hospitals. Came very close to surgery at one point, but thankfully he didn't have to have that surgery. Um, but I give that just to give a little background of where he was. He was also part of a divorce. The relationship with his dad and I was a difficult one, and he often saw that. And so he always told me that he never wanted to get married, that he just wanted to live life and he wanted to have fun because he didn't know if marriage was a good thing, which of course always broke my heart because I didn't want that example for my kids. But again, this is all about just giving some background of who he was as a person. But he had a very big heart, and he believed in helping others. He had gone to Sam Houston to pursue criminal justice. He always wanted to be a police officer, but all of the medical conditions that he has experienced prevented that from happening. So he most recently was thinking of joining the volunteer fire department in Huntsville because that's where he decided to go back. And after he graduated with his undergrad degree, he moved home and started working here. But then he decided he wanted to go back. He had built some relationships there, and he wanted to pursue that. And then later, Aaliyah joined him, so it seemed like the perfect thing for both of them. I think it helped both of them to get away from here and to go there and kind of start anew. Um, but unfortunately, and over the 6 months prior to him passing was very difficult. He would call me often, and he didn't deal with breakups well because he loved really hard and he always wanted to give his all to relationships. Wasn't a perfect guy, but he made mistakes. But when he loved, and he wanted to make it work. And he didn't understand, when relationships ended, why he couldn't be friends with that person. That was a big thing for him. He wanted, even though they couldn't be together, he still wanted to have a friendship with them. And so I think this was especially hard in this relationship. But anyway, long story short, I guess he made the decision. It was tough to accept, and it was even more difficult because we were told that it may have been an accidental shooting. And so there was a 2-week period of investigation. And even though I had that text message, even when people asked me what happened, I couldn't really tell them. One, because I think the shock of knowing that he'd followed through, but also the hope that it was potential an accident, that maybe he had that thought that morning, but it was an accident and he didn't mean to go through with it. Because getting that call was so hard to face. Cameron was not only my child, but he had grown to be one of my best friends. We talked every day on the phone. He shared everything about his life with me. So we were very intertwined in each other's lives, and it was great to be at that point where we could build a friendship and become friends after having the fortunate opportunity to be his mother. And so it was completely devastating. I remember in those first 2 weeks just feeling like someone literally just pulled my heart out of my chest. It was hard to breathe. It was hard to sleep. And I couldn't even imagine moving forward. I remember saying over and over again, how am I supposed to do this? I don't know how I'm supposed to live my life without my child. And, the people around me, they told me, we get through it together. But, I had little faith in that. I had little hope in that. And I think truly the only thing that kept me getting up each day and facing another day was Aaliyah and my family and the love around me. And ultimately those people who did say that, who stood, really did stand up and support me through that time, because it was so devastating. And so throughout this 2-year journey, I have struggled with the grief. And I've also tried to find purpose and meaning in all of this. I don't know if I will honestly ever find meaning. How can you find meaning in losing your child? How can you find meaning in accepting the way that he chose to end things, and knowing that I had the tools. I like I said before, I'm a therapist. I had the tools necessary to give him the help, and he knew that I had those tools and that I would help, because I later found out that he asked for me not to be reached out to, and I think that's why he chose to do text and not call me, because he knows I would have been there in a second. And so it's taken 2 years to work through that process of knowing that I could have done something, but he didn't provide that opportunity. And so it's been a journey of pain, of sadness, confusion, but also a journey of trying to find myself in it all, because as I said before, I was so intertwined in his life and in Aaliyah's life that I truly lost a part of my identity. So I'm redeveloping myself. And so if you follow me, I've proclaimed to be bold, and I think this is an example of that boldness, speaking up and sharing my story, sharing his story more importantly, because I know that his story didn't end on July 13th, 2020, and that I don't want the world to remember him by the act. I want them to remember who he was and all the potential that he had and to give to this world, because he was such an amazing person. He lived in boldness all of his life. He probably experienced more in his 29 years than I did, in my 40 plus years. And so he's truly my role model. I want to be able to live fearlessly, hence, this vulnerability here on camera, right out of bed on Sunday morning. But I think it's important, because people always comment on my strength. And so they see me a lot of times with that mask on. They see me happy and optimistic and strong, but it's truly a daily struggle. My heart is broken. My identity is broken. I'm not who I used to be, but I'm making a conscious decision every day to get up and move forward, and to also to advocate for mental health, because I've struggled myself as well. I've struggled from anxiety and depression. And so that's, another point of contention because, you always wonder about those, excuse me, those genetic links. And, but again, that's my grief journey. That's the work that I have to do to understand that it's not my fault. And it's, I want to say to those parents out there who are living lives with their kids who are suicidal or suffering from depression, it's not your fault, and things happen for whatever reason, and all you can do is support your kids through. All you can do is provide the help that they need and to be there when they need to, provide that safe space where they can be vulnerable and share what they're going through. And that's the one blessing in this. I know that Kameron felt that because he did. He shared his most vulnerable moments, his most vulnerable secrets. And he would often tell me that he didn't need a therapist because he had me. And, and that again is a blessing and a curse because I know that he loves me and that he trusted me, but it also hurts because, at times I feel like that wasn't enough, that I wasn't enough to save my baby. And so, again, that's something I must continue to work through because I know that I would have laid my life down for his. And so that's all that I really could have done. But I just want to give, parents reassurance that just keep doing your best, keep loving your kids, keep giving them what you have. The help is not always guaranteed. We did work the process, but sometimes it's not enough, unfortunately. But I want to say to those people that are who are having those thoughts, who are just thinking that it's too much, I want you to think about how precious your life is and how much you mean to those around you and how your absence would be, how it would impact the world. There's so many people, even after the fact, not just me and his, Aaliyah and our immediate family, but friends that still follow me on Facebook 2 years later, friends that still call. When I get sad and I wonder and I question, am I making a difference? Is speaking up helping? I'm on these various platforms, and sometimes I spend hours on social media just trying to get the words out there. And and unfortunately, you don't always get the feedback. You don't always get the likes, or you don't always get the comments saying that it's helpful. But every time that I lose steam and I get tired and I think about quitting, I get a phone call or I get a text, thanking me for the impact and how my sharing and my openness has helped them, how it's prevented them from acting out on those suicidal thoughts. And so for me, that's enough. If it's just one person, even one person that makes the decision that I'm going to stay here, I'm going to fight, I'm going to work for it, no matter how hard it is. If I need to take the medication, I'm going to take the medication. If the medication is not right for me, but I need consistent therapy, that they're going to participate in the therapy. Or even if it's just that they're going to hold on to their faith that God has put them here for a reason, and that reason is to continue, is worth the continuous fight. Then I'm gonna do my work. I'm gonna get up every day and I'm going to speak on mental health. I'm gonna share my story. I'm gonna, proclaim it on my chest as I wear t-shirts that tell my journey, as hard as that is, because, who wants someone to look at them and to know their pain and to wonder about why things happen the way that they did, or what's the story, or what did I do wrong. But I can take that. I can live through that if it saves just one life, because all life is so precious. And yes, it's hard out there. It's a hard world, and it's, at times it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. But you are worth the fight. Your family needs you. Your family deserves to have your love. They deserve to share the good moments, the bad moments, the holidays, and all of the in between, because your life matters and you are important. And if you are having thoughts, please reach out. Please reach out. and share with someone. And if you have information, please reach out to someone to help, because fortunately sometimes we don't see the whole picture, but people that are suicidal may give each of the people in their lives little pieces to the puzzle, and you don't realize until after the fact that what the puzzle is showing you, that they're thinking about, making those decisions. But just say something. Don't dismiss it. Don't disregard when people say that they don't want to live, or that they want to die, or life is too hard. That may be their way of acting out. That may be their way of communicating to you that they're in trouble. And if you don't know what to do, then reach out to someone who does. Reach out to, a therapist, a spiritual advisor, someone who works in the medical field, or someone with experience. It is overwhelming, to know what to do, and to to accept that someone may be thinking that. But we know all too clearly that it's a fact. We're seeing kids, in my work, I see kids now as young as 4 and 5 years old who want to die, and that's heartbreaking. So we have to do our best to first of all love each other better. Some of the things that we see in this world are just so sad. It's just people against people. It's just hatred. It's just a sad situation, but that's a whole nother story. I could go on and on about that, but we have to find a way to love each other. We have to find a way to support each other. And we have to find the strength to reach out when we're struggling. There's no shame in depression. There's no shame in anxiety. There's no shame in schizophrenia or bipolarism. It's just a matter of accepting that something is happening that needs to be addressed. It would be the same as a cancer diagnosis, or anything of the such. It's a concern that can be treated, but you just have to want the help, to receive the help, and to communicate with the others around you. So again, I could probably sit here and go on and on all day because I have so many thoughts in my head, but I just wanted again to come on to kind of share my story and to put a face to this, because suicide is not something with that we can just put aside and pretend that it doesn't exist, because it lives in my life every day. It lives in the lives of Aaliyah and my families and my friends, as they see me struggle, as they see me 2 years later still working to pick up the pieces and seeing my pain. And so if you're thinking about getting help, it's as simple as reaching out. If you don't want to burden your families, or it's not, first of all, it's not a burden. They want to know how they can help. They want to know that they can support you. But the National Suicide Hotline is available at 988. They've made it as simple as possible. Just those three numbers, 988, can be the difference in changing your life. So if you're ever in that moment and you can't see your way clear, or if you're a parent who doesn't know how to help your child, or a brother who doesn't know how to help their sister, a cousin, a friend, whoever it is, reach out for help. But don't just ignore the symptoms. Don't ignore the signs. Be there, listen, provide a non-judgmental, supportive environment, and lead them to the help that they need. I'm going to continue to do my work through this page, A Bold Story Never Ends, as well as Chain Breakers, to educate about mental illness, about suicide, and to help to reduce the stigma that's associated to it. So please continue to follow me. Please continue to pray for me. Please continue to lift me up in your thoughts and prayers, because this is hard. It's so hard. And on days like this, my heart is so broken, and I just want, to experience my baby, to hear from him, to see the next steps, to be a mother to a grandmother to his children. And all that was taken because of suicide. So please continue to do your part. Continue to be there. Continue to listen. And together we can make a difference. Thank you.